You're good.
All right. Thank you all for coming today to our May Land Bank Board meeting. Appreciate everybody being here today. We have distributed to us the minutes of the last meeting from March 24th. I trust that everybody has had a chance to review them. Are there any suggested changes to those minutes? If there's not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes as proposed.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, Tony, thank you. Any further discussion about the minutes from the this is May now, the March 24th board meeting? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are any opposed to the minutes? Okay. Thank you. We do have some business before the land bank today. And thank you for those who are in attendance and those who are here, I know, to answer questions or speak on any particular proposals. Thank you for being here. I will now turn it over to the executive director for his monthly report.
Thank you very much. As it relates, I'll start with our city ARPA and our rehab projects. As it relates to the approved sale of 170 Waller Street, the closing of that should be almost any day now. We've signed the deed and the other closing documents with our attorney's office, and I understand that the bank was undertaking a final appraisal of the interior and the exterior of the home. Other than that, should be, like I said, very easy to close in the next week or so, and we want to wish the Button family all the best on that of closing of 170 Waller Street. As it relates to the projects that are underway right now at 5 Tremont Avenue and 27 Columbia Avenue, they're coming along very nicely. Actually, earlier today, Chairman Martin and myself both toured those projects with our CM and the contractors and the architects. 27 Columbia is on track to be completed probably before the end of this month, and we'll hopefully list that property for sale shortly thereafter. And then 5 Tremont, a little bit behind due to the foundational work and some unanticipated repairs that are underway as well, should be shortly thereafter, probably sometime in the month of June. So everybody keep your eyes open as it relates to eventually as potential announcement on the sale of 27 Columbia Avenue. Additionally, we have 5 rehabs that we've acquired from Broome County. They're undergoing several cleanouts right now, and once they're fully cleaned out, we'll be engaging our environmental consulting firms to begin asbestos and lead testing. As a friendly reminder, those 5 properties are 22 Andrews Ave, 22 Beethoven Street, 115 Bigelow, 90 Evans, and 24 Hay Street. As it relates to our demolition projects, we're currently working with HCR and the county as it relates to acquisition of the 6 demolition properties that were being provided by the county. I have not received full clearance yet from HCR to undertake the acquisition yet, but as soon as I do, I'll work with Wendy's and her team at Real Property to make that acquisition final. As a reminder, at the moment, and in talking with Deb Smith next door, the landfill still cannot take ACM materials, asbestos materials. It's still anticipated for late this year, so won't be able to undertake too much prior to the end of the year at the moment, unless something changes. As it relates to the former Vestal Nursing Home, the county funding resolution was held over at its April legislative session and is slated to be on their agenda next Thursday, the 21st. And then as it relates to some future demolition properties, we've been contacted by several local municipalities regarding some potential future foreclosures for future demolition projects. So I'll be sure to keep an eye out for if and when they are foreclosed on, and something we can discuss as an organization and with the county for some other future demolition properties in the future. As it relates to our operating funds, we are from HCR, we are tracking those, which totals a $200,000 grant for the year. It's a friendly reminder that expires at the end of August, but we have a 1-year renewal option through August of next year. And we did receive our first disbursement of around $95,000 at the beginning of this month that we submitted at the end of last month for. As it relates to our LBI Phase 2 and P2 capital funds, we're continuing to track expenses there as it relates to our capital grants, excuse me. This supports the demolition program, pre-development expenses, as well as future acquisition and subsequent rehabilitation. We also submitted a disbursement request for that one in April, which was received in late April and totaled a little over $164,000. On our vacant rental program, the projects at 18 McGath Street and 23 Parsons Street are well underway. I believe 23 Parsons Street will probably be done before the end of this month. And the project at 7 Carhart Ave is due to get underway very, very soon. Our CM is currently procuring pricing for the rehab at 147 Clinton Street, so that should get underway very soon. Bids for that are due before the end of this month. I think it's the 26th. So hopefully we can get a contract underway in early June on that property as well. I know I mentioned previously that there have been some challenges as it relates to 18 Cary Street. However, since I think I mentioned at our March meeting that we had a very productive meeting with those property owners, and subsequently communication has been very, very good from our developers, and things have been going smoothly along there. Right now, we're still trying to work through with the senator's office some of that funding that they are supposed to be receiving through the land trust for that project. But the property owners have been very, very communicative for this last 2-month period roughly. So that's been a real positive, and hopefully we can get underway with that one in the coming months. Had a meeting not that long ago with Bob Chan as it relates to 21 Walnut Street. Bob's underway there. He's going to be in town again next week and potential site visit for myself and one of our CMs to go see how things are moving along there. But with his work on previously on 3 King Avenue, we have no concerns about Bob's work in the future on that property. On the property of 181 Hawley Street, I'm hopeful to reissue the RFP for that purchase and redevelopment under both VRP and potentially ARPA sale proceeds in the coming month or two. We've actually had a lot of interest in that property, a lot of people reaching out in the last month. Just a friendly reminder, there was an RFP that was issued last year, late summer. Unfortunately, we did not receive any responses to that RFP, but with the interest we've had in the last month from probably about half a dozen or so individuals interested in potentially purchasing and redeveloping that property, I'd like to get that RFP back out if I can in the next month or so. And then before the board today is a resolution to amend the VRP agreement with a new HCR funding, where we're being awarded an additional $1.11 million to extend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And to extend the program through mid-April of 2028. I appreciate the kind words and support that I've received from all of you, as this was the first grant application that I wrote completely on my own. So right now I'm batting 1,000. So I appreciate that.
I think you can only go down from 1,000.
Yeah, it can only go down.
You have to be careful.
But at least my first one was successful, so I appreciate that. As it relates to our small business tipping fee waiver program, we have 2 applications before the board today. One from Marchuska Development, and there's a gentleman here representing the organization, and as well as JDT Realty, and we have 2 gentlemen here to speak on that project as well. I believe you've all had the applications in the board packet, and I look forward to discussing those here shortly. I do want to thank the applicants, as we did make some policy changes at the very end of last year that did require some additional documentation starting at the beginning of this year for new projects. Both property owners and the applicants were very great to work with, and I appreciate their patience as we waded through these, because these are some of the first projects under the new policy. As it relates to the BOCES Tiny Home Partnership, the permits were issued by the city of Binghamton in April, and BOCES students are still hard at work on those 2 tiny homes and making a lot of really good progress. We have fully acquired 8 Truesdale Street from the county. And actually, after this meeting, I will be attending with our architects on site development L2 Studios, a city ZBA meeting that starts a little after 5 o'clock tonight, as we have some area variance applications that are before the ZBA as it relates to the subdivision.
You think we're going to be done by 5 o'clock?
I hope so. We'll see.
Anything can happen.
You never know.
Yep.
But as long as those applications are approved by the ZBA, we should have no issue on subdivision, and I'm looking forward to actually, hopefully, we're looking at potentially next week, trying to get out to bid on the GC for the site work as it relates to driveway, water, sewer lines, the frost wall, the placement of the tiny homes, and that will probably be before you for award if all goes well at the June board meeting. So we're very excited about that. Just some last administrative housekeeping items. There's a resolution before the board to allow the Dick's Sporting Goods Open to utilize the lots across from Enjoy. This is for employee, vendor, and volunteer parking for the tournament, and this is the pretty standard agreement that's been in effect the last few years. As it relates to our assistant director search, we're still working with the county's planning and personnel departments, as well as our HCR LBI grant coordinators about getting this year listed in the near future. And in the meantime, I've had some initial discussions about potentially taking on a summer MPA intern to assist us, as we've had a couple students reach out. And then one last reminder, I know I've mentioned this before, but this is the final year for our auditors who presented back in March. And as well, it's the last year for our current CM contracts for construction management. So at some point later this summer, I'd like to issue the respective RFPs and RFQs in order to try to award those before the end of this year, so that come early next year, we can continue with our CM work and our next year's audit. And then last but not least, as it relates to our investments, we have invested the full $1.25 million, which is the cap established by the board. So far this year, we have received a little more than $14,600 in interest. And in total, since starting the ICS agreement last fall, we have earned just under $31,500.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on the VRP, additional VRP award. That's great news. If the board will recall, we had more applications than we had funding, for the first round. So I believe there is still a list of, I was going to say prior applicants that are still sort of have already been vetted
Correct.
in the first case
Correct.
that we made. You're going to work through that list, right? Before you then move on to issuing a new solicitation.
Yeah.
New potential project.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much of a new solicitation we'll fully need in the fact that we have, again, a handful of applications that have been waiting essentially.
Yeah.
Because of the order in which they received. But subsequently, we have been maintaining at the request of HCR, a wait list. So anybody who's reached out to us expressing interest in the program since our application periods closed back last year, we have a running list of probably between, I would say 12 to 20 property owners who have already expressed interest in the program. And it's been expressed by HCR that that essentially re-awardees start with any remaining applications they have in their deck. Then their waiting list, because those people have been waiting around for a period of time. And then if there's still funding to actually put out a public solicitation for more applications. So we might not even have to make it that far. Obviously, each project has to be vetted on a case-by-case basis by RCMs first to see, is the project feasible? Because they're obviously, the first round of applications, I think we had 30 plus.
Yeah.
And they're very easily are ones that, they're gonna cost too much, they don't qualify for the program. It's not an eligible site or not an eligible property owner when it's all said and done. So we'll have to wade through those, but there's a possibility we may not need to resolicit.
Good. This is, as the board knows, a pretty unique program from New York State. And, I think I speak probably for everybody. We're appreciative of this opportunity to get vacant rental units, back online. It's pretty unique program. So
Yeah.
Good. Questions for the executive director on any topics?
I do have one.
Yeah.
Has anything been done with an assistant executive director?
So yeah, we're working on posting the job in the near future. We had, obviously, as I mentioned, the last board meeting, we had a lot of administrative heavy items in the first quarter of the year. And then since then, I've worked with both Tony's department planning and the county personnel department. And then obviously, as we utilize our LBI operating funds from the state, I'm just waiting on some, basically, I'm working with HCR as it relates to still no issues, as we're gonna have to make some budget modifications, because obviously the new assistant director would come in at the lower salary, so I have to make some budgetary amendments as it relates to our operating grant with the state. So we've been in communication with them. We just have not all the i's have been dotted and all the t's have been crossed. But yes, we plan to post the job in the very near future.
One of the things Rob
That
mentioned.
happen this coming month?
If not this month, I mean, we're already halfway through May. If it doesn't happen in May, I'd like to potentially June. That would be hopeful.
The thing that could just take it up a little bit of time that's changed just a tad in the county is there's a person signed down in personnel to the department before it would be streamlined directly by,
Yeah.
say, the department head. So now you go through, there's another little piece of it somebody downstairs is doing from it. I'm trying to hire somebody currently. It's a little tied up downstairs.
The hope is that someone can be identified in the summertime area, get them on board. One of the things Rob mentioned earlier, just very briefly, was that he's gotten some inquiries from MPA students that are interested in coming on for the summer, that we could bring on some expertise in the short run, right?
Yeah.
To identify, to help out on some logistical and other operational type matters while we work through some of the logistics and operational things that need to be done to hire a deputy. So I think the summerish is the timeframe you're looking at.
Yeah, I think so.
Post.
And if anybody has any, I'm more than happy to share with the board the job specs, which include the requirements and responsibilities. If anybody has any.
So they're on the website too.
Yeah, they are available on the county website. But I'm more than happy to share with the board. And if anybody has any suggestions, I'm all ears. Always.
Yeah. Other questions for the executive director on his report? Anything on the finances else that you need to mention? There's an updated report for everybody there.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention, because I know it was brought up at a previous board meeting, we did add a section on the financials this time as it relates to the different sale proceeds of the different affordable homes program grants. And I just want to make a note as it relates to the original CDBG grant from back when Margaret was the director. The reason the amount looks so low is there were a couple home sales there. But that is essentially the delta of 2 home sales, and there was a home that was rehabbed with sale proceeds. So while there technically were 3 homes sold under that program, only, 2,
Two were the original grant.
the original
one
grant.
was the-
and then obviously a
Yeah.
good chunk of that money went towards the rehab of a third property. So that's why it looks as low as it does, because I try to give you the net versus thinking that there was like, $300,000 worth of sales. There's really only 86 as it relates to utilizing essentially the sale proceeds from 2 to fund a third rehab. But other than that, a lot of our expenses on the operational side are pretty routine. Obviously, we're gonna have a lot more expenses now. We're getting into the mowing season. I just got the other day our first set of invoices from our property maintenance firm, and they have 5 more houses to now start mowing as it relates to our next round of rehab. So those will pick up, and our expenses on our capital side are pretty routine with the 2 properties that are underway right now and some of the BRD projects.
Other comments, questions from the board? Okay, thank you. So we will close that portion of the meeting. Thank you, Rob. We now come to the next portion of the meeting where we have public and community advisory panel comments. Those that are here for purposes of a particular project, you're welcome to say something now if you wish. But also we'll give you an opportunity when those 2 particular items come up. Item number 6, which relates to 3341 Vestal Parkway East and 13 Jackson Street. So you're welcome to address the board now if you wish, but we'll give you an opportunity when those 2 items come up for a vote. So I'd now like to open this to the public or community advisory panel. Anybody wishing to speak, please rise. We'd appreciate if you introduce yourself and comment on items related to the land bank for a period of not more than 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
With I'll taking my time, could you take attendance? I didn't hear you take attendance.
We've taken attendance like by writing down who is here. Yeah, but a quorum is present. Quorum is present.
Well, I mean, you can't put it on the record. You're a professional clerk. You can't put the attendance on the record and conduct this meeting properly, or is it shortcutting?
The attendance is very clear.
How is it done? How is it
say
done? I didn't hear it.
Mr. David is here, Mr. Jajits is here, Ms. Hughes is here, Mr. Fiala is here, Mr. Sopchak is here, and I'm here. Thank you.
Aren't you supposed to call the name and have the person acknowledge their attendance? See, this is the sloppy stuff, professional clerk. And I don't understand how the county is getting along with $300,000 worth of labor here. The clerk's office, was it closed today? All non-essential employees don't report because there's 2 here today. The last time I was here was in January of 2025. At that time, I brought up to you that there was 2 people on the board that didn't sign their oath of office cards. Did you see the Erie County attorney? Read the Buffalo News, read the papers up there. You don't sign that. The county attorney has told those people that they need to be reappointed, that they can't serve. Those people, Abdelazim is gone now. But were you one of them, Mike?
One of who?
That didn't sign your oath of office card in the January of 2025?
I don't think so. I think I did.
When did you do
I just
it?
want to point out that this isn't a question and answer period. You're
Oh,
welcome to
I'm
address
getting
the board
close,
for
getting
5
close to
minutes.
enough, yeah, okay.
But there's no question and answer period.
Okay, I understand. Mr. Professional Clerk. Let's talk about embedded conflicts of interest. Appearance of conflict of interest in New York State is what we're dealing with. This guy here, Mike Sobchak, on the board of the IDA. Tony Fiala, a county employee, county planning. I'm sorry I didn't meet you. I don't know you. I'll leave you out of this for now. Rich David, Binghamton Local Development Corporation. 2 aforementioned county clerks. One is a senior deputy county clerk. Dual office holders, all of them. You don't think that, never give the public an even break. This is a joke. You're not conducting this thing properly, and you know it, and you're smug, just like you were head of a political party, giving nominations out to the legislature that controls your last job. So, let's not kid ourselves. Are you going to get your ethics in order or not? Are you gonna resign, make up your mind like IDA or this board? You're gonna make up your mind, you're gonna resign from this position? You're gonna resign, Chris? You're a Republican Party guy too. Do they submit their resume to you too for this new executive director position? This is an awful outfit. You're crooks, you understand? The appearance of conflict is crooking under a different name. You're looking bewildered. No aw shucks from you, Aaron? No aw shucks like those campaign commercials? Come on, get with it. You're a dual office holder. You know it's wrong. You know the stuff that comes up. I mentioned that this guy who is a real estate guy, I mentioned that when he was running for county clerk, that he might be interested in the filings before anybody else. He didn't get elected, but that's not the point. You got elected. You got it. We have a sheriff that flips houses. Are you in touch with the sheriff when a new one comes to the county clerk's office? He flips houses. He likes to go after people, get their property. What are you doing, Aaron? What are you doing? I was there. You weren't there. Where are you in the office? You're here. You're there. You're everywhere. You people have no ethical compass whatsoever. It's been fixed for so long that you don't know. And as a woman said, a town official said to me, she's a high-powered town official. She's no longer in elected office. She said, when it gets like this, they trip themselves up. They become too arrogant and trip themselves up. And that's what you're doing. You don't need the Vestal nursing home any more than a hole in the head. Look at the appraisal of that building on the tax rolls. Does it pay taxes? But look what it's assessed. You mean to tell me you're going to pay more than the assessed valuation? Vestal's supposed to be 100% value. It's a crooked deal. You want to save your buddy, Dan Reynolds, your buddy, your mentor. I just want to say one more thing. And it's a sad day for Broome County. It's a very sad day. But now they know you're going too far, too fast. And it's obvious what you're doing. Oh, by the way, and I go to all the public meetings, I'm asking this question. Anybody here on a volunteer fire department? And the reason that I'm asking that question is because I hear all this stuff. Service. I love to serve. I serve here. I serve there. I serve everywhere. Service. Well, I'm just checking to see if there's any volunteer firefighters. There's a difference between paid service and regular service. So there you go.
Thank you, sir. Any other?
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
Just as a matter of the record, I'm not a member of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation. I'm not a dual office holder. My time on the BLDC ended December 31st of 2021 when I left City Hall. So this is the only quasi-governmental entity board that I'm affiliated with. I just wanted that mentioned as part of that.
No, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to address the board? Okay, we will declare that portion of the meeting closed, and we will now move on to new business. We have an item before the board, number 6, which is a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with Marchuska Development LLC to utilize a portion of the land bank's tipping fee allocation for the demolition of 3341 Vestal Parkway East in the town of Vestal. Rob, what would you like to say about that?
Yes, we have James Caramore here from Marchuska Development. For anybody who doesn't know, 3341 Vestal Parkway East is the former Vestal Fire Station there on the Vestal Parkway between some of the hotels. It's my understanding that they would like to demolish the former fire station and make it available for a future redevelopment / a future potential sale for redevelopment as it relates to that commercial district. They're utilizing, I believe, their own funding as it relates to the overall demolition of the project. And somewhere here I have the estimated tipping fee sorry, the estimated tonnage is 40 tons. I'm not sure, Mr. Caramore, if there's anything you'd like to say as it relates to the project.
That's correct.
If anybody has any questions.
Yes. Do you have a prospective client for the space?
As of right now, no.
Any other comments or questions from the board? This application meets all of the requirements under our program guidelines.
Correct. And as part of the new requirements, we asked that any LLC provide us with a operating agreement. We have received the operating agreement, so we have a full understanding of LLC ownership.
Good. Thank you, Rob. If there's no further discussion or comments, I'd entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to enter an agreement with Marchuski Development LLC to utilize a portion of land bank's tipping fee allocation for demolition of 3341 Vestal Parkway East in the town of Vestal. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Chris, thank you. A second. Rich, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Next, item number 7. Thank you, sir. Resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with JDT Realty LLC to utilize a portion of the land bank's tipping fee allocation for the demolition of 13 Jackson Street in the city of Binghamton. Rob.
We have both Mr. James Torto Senior and Mr. James Torto Junior. As it relates to this. This is located at 13 Jackson Street, which is on the south side of Binghamton. They're off a side street off of Tompkins Street. It's located right next to their construction business as well. They're planning to demolish. It's a 2-family home that is dilapidated and blighted at the moment. And it's my understanding at the moment, you guys are looking to utilize that for storage space at the moment for the business, potential redevelopment expansion space. And this is estimated at right around, I think, 30 tons. Gentlemen, if there's anything else you'd like to say. Oh, if there's anything else you'd like to add?
Any questions about this application or comments? Okay. If not, I entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to enter into an agreement with JDT Realty LLC to utilize a portion of land bank's tipping fee allocation for the demolition of 13 Jackson Street in the city of Binghamton. Do I have a motion? Tony, second. Wendy, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries. All right, thank you. On to number 8, resolution authorizing the amendment of the agreement with New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation for administration of a land bank vacant rental program grant to support the land bank's capital programs for 2025 through 2028.
Yep. So as
Thank you,
I
gentlemen.
Yep, thank you, gentlemen. As it relates to this, this is essentially a reauthorization of the additional 1.11 million, which is essentially the same amount what we are currently contracted with. So it'll be $2.22 million. And as part of this, it extends out the grant program, which is supposed to expire at the end of this year. Now will expire, I think it's April 14th of 2028. And we anticipate with the current projects that are underway with that amount of funding right now, which is 14, we anticipate being to essentially fund another 14 units. We do not anticipate there being any issues finding property owners. As I mentioned, we have applications that are currently in waiting, and we have a wait list of potential applicants that is at least, again, 12 to 20 property owners deep. So again, I appreciate all of your support.
Thank you. It's been very successful to date, this program. So
Yes.
looking forward to more projects under the program. Any questions or comments for the executive director on this resolution? Yes, sir.
Rob, just a quick question. If you had ballpark it, how many applicants from the previous round of funding might still be eligible
Yeah.
based on your grading structure?
So I know right off the top of my head, I know there's one that we did a full feasibility study on. And that one we are definitely going to potentially put forward, maybe even as early as next month.
Fine.
From there, I want to say it's about 4 or 5 physical applications that we received while we had the application windows open last year. And there have some that have obviously through our feasibility are no longer feasible. And then, like I said, so we probably have at least 4 or 5 that we'll review fairly quickly. And then from there, as we start getting through those 4 or 5, that's when I'll basically blast out to the entire wait list and say, you know, as you may have seen, we were rewarded. You've been on our waiting list. We're now asking you to submit your application and probably give them a window, say a couple weeks. And then if we, depending on how those go, start reviewing those in the order we get them. And then if we need to, then we would, we still have actually, we didn't utilize the entire marketing budget the first time around. We have still are under contract with IdeaCraft. I believe we spent 15,000 of the 20,000 originally on marketing. So we actually have still $5,000 on marketing we can play with if we need to. And the marketing ads both on social media and just regular internet ads. I don't remember the statistics because it was so long ago that we ran those media campaigns, but they were fairly successful in getting people.
So when you mentioned, Rob, that there's 4 or 5 applications sort of already already been reviewed, right? Sort of the waiting list.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not the right word, but sort of appropriate words, I guess, for it. That's not necessarily like one unit. It may be 2 units.
oh, yeah, no, these are just individual property owners.
Right.
So we could, right off the bat, I know one of
You
them.
could use that money pretty quick.
Yes, so like right off the bat, one of the ones that's on our waiting list is either a 4 or 5 unit building. If that's the one that ultimately brought next month, I mean, that could be, I mean, Cary Street was $300,000 for 4 units. So you're talking, if it's a 4 to 5 unit building, you're looking at easily 300 to nearly $400,000 in funding could be appropriated like that.
Mhm.
So again, we might only make it through the 4 or 5 physical applications that are in our queue that are in the office. Yeah, go ahead.
Did they give you guidance, just dealing for this as long as I did my career? Did HCR give you any guidelines or specifications for waiting lists?
No.
We have our own
It's
policy
You're
related to
keeping-
that.
You're
Yes.
keeping a waiting list that is
Yeah.
what, land bank waiting list
Yes.
that you created?
So,
Okay.
yeah, so,
'Cause
yeah,
they're asking you to keep one, that's why I'm just asking you if they're
Yeah,
asking.
It's a good question. When we first authorized the program.
Yeah.
We talked about how we were gonna handle that, like as far as applications, like having a window of a certain date. And we would just accept applications, then Rob would review them, or at the time, the former executive director would review versus the criteria and how we weight each of the applications. And that's when we sort of talked about internally, like at the board meeting, about keeping that list. I don't think directives came at that time from HCR, although I think you've talked to them and they know.
Yeah, so what-
we've.
It's more of me being protective.
understood.
of-
So, yeah, just to back up just
Here.
in a little more detail, when we received those initial 30 applications in our first 2 windows of application periods, we had them kind of in order of how they were received. So, you know, you submit the first application, Aaron submits the second one, Mike the third, so on and so forth. So we started that way with sending our first reviewing their applications. Are they an eligible property owner? Are they an eligible property? You know, are they a responsible property owner? Went through all of that. Okay, if they met all those checklists, then they move on to our construction manager. Then the construction manager met them on site, did a feasibility of, okay, you want $75,000 for 1 unit. Is that feasible? One example of a home that was a completely single-family home that was gutted down to the studs, very similar to the rehabs that we undertake. And at the time, the former executive director and myself, we have a good understanding that those rehabs are anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 or $75,000, unless the property owner is making up the difference, was not a feasible project. Then you weed through it that way. And then it was, okay, now we have a list of projects we can fully undertake, take those in the order that they were approved, essentially by us internally, bring them to the board. And then as we've closed our application window, that's when HCR had asked, okay, what are you doing now when either people try to submit an application or reach out? Are you creating a waiting list of some sort? And essentially what we've done is in an Excel, I have anybody who's called or emailed us since we've closed those windows, and I have their name, their email, their phone number, their address, the property address. And then again, I plan to essentially notify them all at one time. Hey, we're reopening for you because you're on our waiting list. We're asking, if today is June 1st, we're asking you to submit, say, by the end of June. Or
Say if I say I can't do that by the end of June, but I'm looking for October, do I still stay on the list?
at the moment, I think I'd leave you on the list, but I would have to let you know that we have a large enough waiting list that we may not be able to get to your project by
Okay, as
October.
long as that's not.
And I have
that's an
expressed-
HCR.
Yes, and I have expressed this to our HCR reps for VRP, and because the first thing they asked me is, okay, you're getting reawarded, how are you gonna solicit application?
Okay.
And I said, well, we have 4 or 5 that are that were 6 that are on our desks. I have a waiting list of about half, like a dozen to 20 property owners. I would like to start with the applications we still have in hand, then the waiting list, and then if we needed to open it up, and they were completely okay with that.
Thank you.
So we essentially got a verbal blessing from each.
What's the deadline too on the, good questions. What's the deadline on this current extension?
So the current one will go, the current project or the current grant expires at the end of, it's like December,
Right.
the end of the year. And then they're letting us with this additional funds extend it through April, I think 14th of 2028.
All right. So
So-
some of the issue would be with the example you're pointing out, like if someone said, hey, it might be available in October to do it, we may or may not have funding by then, but
And that's okay, as long as they're staying on the list, because
Yeah.
what could happen is,
Yeah.
let's just say, okay, I wanna wait till October. We make the assumption that I'm saying you're wrong with that, you're pulling them off the list, they could file a complaint that you've taken them off, that's
Yeah.
all I'm just. Cause I just
Understood.
know how HCR sometimes
yeah,
can be with waiting
And-
lists and.
it's mostly the availability of funds by
Yeah,
the time we
and
get
then
around to
availability,
it.
so
at
it's
that
Correct.
like a unit of availability of
Yes,
an
and
apartment.
as we all know, though I have a dozen to 20 property owners on the waiting list, there are gonna be projects on that list that are not gonna be
Yeah,
feasible.
okay. That's-
So they would still, and similarly, there was a project that was awarded last year on Arthur Street or Arthur Ave in Endicott, and right before
Yeah.
we signed the contract, she ultimately
She came to
backed.
the office,
Yeah,
yeah.
she backed out of their thing.
Okay.
So I wouldn't ever want to fully remove unless the project was fully deemed not feasible, or they were a non-eligible property owner. At that point, then I would want.
Yeah,
to
all
pull
I'm
them.
just saying,
But
they
yeah.
should, whoever put in the application, it should be them saying, no,
Yeah.
take me off the
Correct.
list. That's
I think
all.
the hope would be in that situation, I think, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing that I'm thinking about the eligibility that would maybe cause that situation is if someone needed to put in their own funds to help make the project, and they
And
would
that's what
have
I,
it until
like,
October.
like, I gotta get the gap. What's the
Yeah,
gap? Well,
Because
Yeah.
under the rules now, it has to be vacant, it has to be unoccupiable, it has to be a small mom and pop landlord, those things are sort of yes or no questions.
Yes,
The thing you're throwing out is maybe they were trying to gather
Yeah.
funds to close the gap.
and some of that, like I said, is determined when we review feasibility. If they have a 2-family and they can get up to 150, our CM
Yeah,
might say, we're
sure.
estimating 175. Oh, it might take me a little bit of time to get that together.
absolutely. And that should be the goal of what you're trying to do, because
Correct.
you've got one who's interested.
And the fact that we're now given not just a year extension, we are given a year and about a quarter. I think that helps as it relates to giving people that wiggle room as.
I just worry when HCR says, wait.
Yep,
Understood.
good question.
And this is the program that, are we the only county doing it?
So we're the only land bank that's doing it. And then there are other organizations around the state that have been awarded funds, but to my knowledge, we're still the only land bank that was awarded VRP funding. And in my conversations with other land bank directors at our land bank association meetings, no one else, I've had a couple ask me about the program. You know, I've explained how we're handling it, things we're doing. And I've had a few tell me it doesn't really sound like something we're interested in, but right now we're still the only one. And it's been working well. We have weekly calls with our HCR reps where we can ask questions, we can bounce ideas off each other. Is anybody having this kind of situation? If so, how are you handling it? This is how we're handling it. So it's been pretty productive.
And it's been successful for us, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, I might be wrong on this. I think we had actually the first completed project in the state, didn't we?
Yeah,
In
we
Endicott?
were told, the 9 Waldo Ave rehab, we were told by our HCR reps was the first completed HCR project in New York State. So
Figure,
pretty
good
proud.
work. Yep, good work. All right,
Thank you.
Thank
Good.
you. Thanks, thank you.
thank you for the questions. We didn't vote.
No, I think we need a
Yep,
motion.
is there a motion to authorize, authorizing the amendment to the agreement with, New York State? Had to think about it. Yes. Tony, thank you. Yes, do we have a second on that? Mike, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of, authorizing amendment to the agreement with the New York State Housing Trust Fund for the administration of a land bank, vacant rental program grant to support the land bank's capital programs of 2025 through 2028. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Item number 9. This is a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with Broome Community Charities for the use of 737 and 749 West Main Street in Endicott. Do you want to just fill everybody in one more time on the particulars there, Rob?
Yep, this would allow the Dick's Sporting Goods Open, essentially Broome Community Charities, to utilize both lots this year. The last 2 years, we only let them utilize the motel lot. But because the restaurant was torn down at the tail end of last year and was mainly filled in with crusher run, essentially the entire restaurant lot, other than a small grassy area, is essentially usable for parking space. So we wanted to afford them the ability to use both. And again, it's going to be written into the contract as it was the last 2 years, that for the night of the concert, they would have some sort of uniforms, security officer, police officers, something to that effect in there as it relates to the night of the concert.
I believe they also have volunteers that are control entrance and access in
Yeah.
addition to the law enforcement, and also that they are required in the contract to provide insurance
Correct.
for the
Yep.
use of it. And it's not public parking,
Yeah.
it's only for
Correct.
vendors and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
where it's not like they're selling the parking spots.
Yes, employees, volunteers, and vendors
Yeah.
of the event.
Yeah, okay. So we've let them use this for the past couple of years, you all know. Obviously, at some point in the relatively near future, this will be RFP, right? Because eventually the hope is that development comes to the site. But in the meantime, it's a vacant lot and we should be good partners, I think, with another nonprofit organization. And I think they've been good partners with us the past
Correct.
couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
We should have at least 3 designated spaces for members of the land bank.
we'll make sure that volunteers and vendors and staff have the opportunity to park there.
Huh? Last
Yeah.
year you only wanted one.
Well, I figured 2 other people might want some.
How generous of you.
Is there any other
How
comments,
generous.
or questions about this proposed item?
Christmas has gone up.
Yeah.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to authorize the executive director. I'd entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to enter into an agreement with Broome Community Charities for the use of those lots. Rich, thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Chris, thank you. Any further discussion? For most everybody? I'm just kidding. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you. All right, old business. Any old business come to the board? Anybody have any questions about old business? All right, if not, I'd entertain it. Well, when would our next meeting be, Rob?
Right now, it is June 16th.
June 16th. That's the proposed next meeting.
Correct.
If there's any questions about that, get a hold of the executive director afterwards. If there's no other business to come before the board, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So.
Okay, Tony, thank you. A second on the adjournment. Wendy, thank you. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank